Welcome to a brand new season of the TAUK Peer-to-Peer podcast. And this season, we've changed things up a little. I'm here as your new host. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Steph, one of the co-founders of TAUK, long-time industry lover, estate agent of many years, and truth teller. And hopefully we'll really dig under the skin of what makes personal estate agency so great. This season is called Freedom with Foundations. You're going to hear me mention hyperlocal even more than I normally do. We're going to talk about the duality of brand. But most importantly, we're going to hear from estate agents, probably just like you guys who are listening and watching, but who are maybe a couple of steps ahead. So if you are considering going down the personal estate agency route, this is going to be gold dust. Take this like a voice note from somebody several steps ahead. If you're 3 months in or 3 years in and just need a little bit of inspiration, take each and every one of these episodes as the opportunity to restart, reset, and go again. But I'm your new captain. Hopefully we'll hear a load of honesty, some humour, the occasional swear words, and hopefully this season is going to be bigger, funnier, sassier and sharper than ever before, because personal estate agency deserves a personal voice. Welcome to season 3. Let's get into it. Welcome to episode 2 of the TAUK Peer-to-Peer podcast. Today, I've got 2 absolute powerhouses who prove that estate agency is not one size fits all. One's working in the Welsh capital, structured, savvy, calculated. The other, Cornwall, rural, coastal, still competitive, but absolutely wild if you catch it in the wrong month. 2 regions, 2 personalities, 1 shared truth. If you own your hyperlocal patch and your brand, you win. Guys, welcome. We've got Matthew and we have Nick.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Let's kill the national headlines for a second. Every region has its own heartbeat. What's actually happening in your market right now? Not the media version, the real version.
I think there's a lot of uncertainty out there at the moment. People worrying about the budget, of cost of living crisis. I think Wales has been hit quite hard with it as the sort of growth over the property prices over the past couple of years. We are the longest sellers in the UK at the moment as well,
wow,
but also for one of the lowest prices. So it's really a difficult market to articulate.
And what's probably the most predictable mistake sellers are making in your market at the moment?
Overpricing. So much competition. Mine's worth this because my garden looks like this. We spent 15 grand on our kitchen last year, but that one has, an extra £500,000 spent. Why would it be similar? So it's a lot of misconception, I think.
Yeah. What about you, Nick?
I think the market across the UK, but I think we feel it more so in Cornwall. I think there's a real element of nervousness from buyers at times, and I think that I think to be successful in this market, it's about coming up with a solution to the anxiety that people are feeling over house prices. In terms of what's happening within Cornwall, the market's remained really, really resilient. I think it's still somewhere that people love to be, like you said in the intro. We've got fantastic coastal regions. We've got mining towns. We've got so many brilliant reasons to want to live there. I think that the biggest mistake that agents make and sellers make is not advertising location as much as the actual property itself, because there's just some brilliant places to be in the area that I grew up in and in the area that I get to operate in.
Now imagine, you're somebody watching our podcast considering going down the personal agency route, and we've just heard you saying sellers are overvaluing, you saying buyers are nervous perhaps. Actually though, isn't that the best type of market to launch a personal agency business in?
I don't think there's a better one to launch in there. I think as long as you have courage, you're within your natural community and you have that consistency, I think any market you can do really, really well. But now it's just there for the taking. And I think if you launch a personal agency within your area where you love and you've grown up in, I think it's just a recipe for real success, but also knowing the area to perfection as well. So
yeah, absolutely. I think that what people are crying out for at the moment, what home movers, buyers and sellers are crying out for at the moment, is a solution to the problem. And there is a solution within this marketplace. And I think that personal agents are really the gatekeepers in the property industry, particularly TA UK personal agents. I think they are the gatekeepers of those solutions. And I think that why would you not want to be a part of a movement that's solving the problem that's causing so much stress and so much nervousness across the UK?
I talk a lot, guys, about duality. I talk a lot, yeah. Both of you laughed then, that's rude. I talk a lot about duality of brand. You guys' face is the front line, TA UK is the engine backing you up. And you're both mentoring agents in your local area. So how does personal brand work locally to you? And how does that duality of brand help people build their businesses?
Absolutely. It's like, I always say it's like Hovis, best of both, right? So you've got your face on everything that you have, but also you've got a powerhouse of an agency behind you. You have the personal element. You have, everything that comes with the blood, sweat and tears of the person actually doing the work and going out there, putting their face, putting their heart on the line, wearing the heart on their sleeve, but also with the tech, with the support, with the marketing, the media and all the software and all the, influence that the Agency UK give the agent. It's just a natural progression and just makes so much sense to me. And it just works, right? It just works.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to duality of brand and what that opportunity gives people, there are some brilliant agents in the UK, some brilliant agents I've met in my career. If I was to have gone and done this on my own without anything backing me, I believe it would have been a success. However, it would have been a drop in the ocean compared to having that around you. And whilst people will focus on the national branding and those things, just having people, it's a very lonely space, self-employment. It's a very lonely space. Having those people around you to complain if something goes wrong or to wins, to have, celebrate successes with and those wins, it's so important that you have the right culture and the right people around you to drive those things forward, because there is a limit to where you can get to without that.
What did you have to unlearn from your old agency life?
Listings are not the key driver of a business, is the thing I had to unlearn. They are
listings for show, completions for dough.
Absolutely. I would far rather, when I'm self-employed and running a business, I'd far rather have 20 listings a year, 20 completions a year, 100% success ratio, and actually provide the service that people have employed me for.
What do you think one thing that your local market will not tolerate from an agent?
Non-communication. I think it's so rife, communication in the estate agency in Wales. Just for some reason, every single valuation I go to that's a secondary to somebody else or a high street, it's always, we didn't speak to them for a month. We didn't have any clue how we were performing on Rightmove, how we were actually doing, no feedback from viewings. And I think that's so paramount to really understanding how your property is being looked after. So most of people's, I don't know if you're secret millionaires, but most people's houses are their biggest asset, and that deserves to be taken with care, really deserves to be communicated every step of the way. And I definitely think that's definitely one of the bugbears that a lot of the people have that I go into the living room and speak about is just communication. I think that's definitely up there.
It's interesting because the nationwide stats show, I think it's less than 6% of homes that sell with a second agent. However, 52% of what TA UK sells has come where another agent has failed, and then we get the job done. I just find that absolutely mind-blowing. But if something so simple as communication is the thing that we live or die on, again, that's just reason to get out that high street and launch a business now, right?
Just no-brainer, right? 100%.
Yeah. I don't think that's surprising. I think that, it's the system that fails on the high street, not the agents that fail on the high street. And when you have no strategy for a property that's launched to market, when you have metrics, internal company metrics that don't match the outcomes for your sellers, things like listing bonuses, and the pressure that you're putting on those people for things like mortgage referrals or conveyancing referrals. When the emphasis is put on those things, it cannot be surprising that properties don't sell at the ratio that they should.
Yeah. I'm going to use one of my favourite words now, hyperlocal. But it isn't just a cute word. It isn't small. I think it's powerful. I think it's profitable. The king of hyperlocal is sat on the couch right there. But give me an example of a time you've won a listing because of your hyperlocalness that you just wouldn't have won in a wider area.
Absolutely. And I think you've really, with your local area, got to die by the sword. You absolutely have to engulf yourself within the demographics that's there. Had I not been an estate agent, do you think I'd be taking local talks in the local school about the housing market? It'd be weird if I did. Do you think if I get recognised in the local spa because my face is on in the corner there, or they have to drive past my board every time they go home? Bless them. Awful. I have to drive past my face 10 times before I get to my house. My dad is doing some awful signs out the window when he sees my face going past. But I think you just have to engulf yourself within the culture, within the people that are there, and just be yourself. Go to the local pub, buy people a drink, know people, and they'll know you, and it's mind share over matter then.
Yeah. Have you ever regretted taking a listing outside your hyperlocal area?
Oh, every day. Why wouldn't you want to walk to work? Oh my gosh. 10 minutes in the car driving now, it's just awful.
And that's crazy. You're saying 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. Obviously, I'll do it. But yeah.
But isn't that the mindset of people that just go, but I'll do it. But actually, if you focus.
Absolutely, 100%.
So close to home.
I used to work with somebody when I really first joined the agency, was not at the agency, but when I was really starting out, somebody who covered Newport, Cardiff and Swansea in Wales. That's like an hour of them each further away. And imagine covering 3 cities, let alone 3 local towns. It's just absolutely bonkers to me. And it just makes so much sense to do it where you live. Like I could walk to every single one of my viewings. I get dragged by my dog past every single one of my vendors' living rooms. They're all like that out the window. And it's just like, why wouldn't you want that? It just doesn't make any sense to me why you wouldn't want that.
I feel like that's where estate agency started, didn't it? I feel like estate agency was a hugely kind of local community driven process. I just feel like over the last kind of 20 years of estate agency, it feels like we've got really, really far away from being active members of our community, and not people which, we're essentially just become people who put things on Rightmove and hope that the phone rings and somebody comes along to buy it. And I don't think that's what anybody aspires when they become an estate agent.
Not. Another hot topic in estate agency currently is professional marketing, and you guys market your properties beautifully, which is a baseline here at TAUK. What do you think, or what is one thing where estate agents still underestimate professional marketing?
I think if you change your mindset from I need to sell the home to I need to find the best buyer, then you look at the marketing totally differently. Because if one thing at a place was to put one person off and that person happened to be the best purchaser for that property, you can cost somebody £5,000 or £6,000 probably quite easily. And I mention this quite often. The really interesting story, the most I've ever sold a property for over its advertised price was £140,000. The more interesting part of the story is the second best buyer was £80,000 less. Had I missed one person, I would have cost somebody £80,000. And the worst part of that story is she would have thanked me for it. And you cannot leave anything on the table when it comes to marketing. You can't, quite literally, when you're home dressing, but you cannot leave anything on the table, because if one image or one angle was to put one person off, in my instance, on a very dramatic level, you could cost somebody £80,000. I think when you're very conscious of that, you become far more attuned to make sure everything is immaculate.
And most people are story-driven, not data-driven, right? And what a story you've got there that you can tell. What's one of the sort of non-negotiables around marketing for you?
Well, I wish I could emulate exactly what he just said about 140 grand for asking price. That'd be great stuff, wouldn't it? But I just think, I can't believe that some agents and where we live use it as a USP. I think it should be an absolute minimum.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you got drone footage. That's incredible. I was like, well, that's what every single one of my clients gets as a bare minimum. Yeah. It's then you can scale up from there. And I just think that, it's, again, emulate what Nick said, if you don't get people through the front door, if you don't get enough people, there's not enough competition, you don't find the best buyer, you don't qualify the best person. And I think you're just leaving stones unturned, and your clients deserved every single stone turned twice, I think.
Yeah.
Now, marketing is one of those sexy topics. It's one of the fun parts of the job, but I do think it's in our gift to bring a little bit of realism here and there. So let's talk about what a good week looks like, but let's also talk about what's a shit week look like.
You can answer that.
Oh, great. Yeah, cheers. I think it's a really difficult question because it's not always a roller coaster for an estate agent, but it can be. And I think you can have brilliant weeks where you sell 3 houses and you have an amazing time, amazing clients are happy. Then you have maybe, obviously it doesn't happen that often, but you do get things that are out of your control and you do get a fall through for whatever reason. A chain falls through because someone of ill health or something completely out of the agent's control. And I think giving people the news, again, with the personal element of it, whereas if it was a high street, it'd be like every day's you. But for us, it's a really difficult conversation having that with somebody you've built a relationship with. So that for me would be a highlighted bad week for me, I think, if I had to deliver that news.
What's sort of maybe a habit or a mindset you had to kill to get to this point?
Oh, that's a good question. Not being so driven by numbers would be my thing. My mindset of what a good agent looked like has changed quite a lot over the 4.5 years that I've been a personal agent. And what I think is that great service leads to the result. You can chase the numbers. And when I often speak to agents when they're starting and I ask them what they want to achieve, it's very financially driven, and that's understandably so. But when you are brilliant at what you do, people will pay you for it. But it's that way around. And I think we can be a bit cart before the horse at times. Go and be an exceptional personal agent, and people will be willing to instruct you. People will be wanting to instruct you. You will build a business like that and have a hyper-local, I can walk to everybody and I get on with everybody because you're exceptional at what you do. That would be the biggest thing I would change in my mindset if I'd started again.
Gloves off now. What's the thing that pisses you off most about this industry?
I'm not going to badmouth any agent because that's unprofessional, right? But the classic, you get them all the time, is the letter through the front door. I've got a cash buyer for your home and they want to buy it tomorrow. Please can we come through the front? If they had a cash buyer who wants to buy your home, I guarantee you the Agents UK would already have that lead.
Yeah.
It's just unfathomable how people think that.
They all have cash buyers who don't look on Rightmove, which is odd.
Yeah, bizarre, right?
It's just a strange cash buyer. I'd say my biggest bugbear is people bragging about data. I've sold X number of houses, or like I just said, it kind of follows on to my last point really, but I could show you, I can twist my statistics to look like the best estate agent on earth. I can twist them to make myself look like a terrible one. The reason that I believe a good estate agent is a good estate agent, and how personal agents have really owned this space and it is accelerated as much as it had, is because we're driven by the result we're getting for the client, not the result we're getting for us or our branch manager or our regional director who's popped in once a month. It's about getting the result for the client once and repeating with every other client that you ever come into contact with. And when you get into that mindset, that's where your business really starts to take off. That's where the recommendation comes from. That's where building a hyper-local business comes from, because people will thrive and love talking about how brilliant you were just because you cared.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Estate agents, though, love talking about how long they've been an estate agent for. Like it's a badge of honour. I do it myself. I fall into that trap. But I've met agents who are brilliant 1 year in, and I've met agents who are terrible 25 years in. What do you think locally is the behaviour that immediately exposes an amateur?
Again, I was going to have to go overpricing or competitive pricing. I was in a living room literally last week, and they were sat, I was like, what's your home worth? What do you think it's worth? And she was like, well, I think it's probably around 230. I was like, okay, cool. All right. Well, what do you need for it? What do you want to be able to do to progress? She was like, I need 245. But actually, the agent who they had in before, she had 6 agents in, by the way. Imagine. And they said, oh, well, I need 245. And she went, oh, well, they just agreed with that straight away. And they said they'd be happy to list it at 245. I was like, well, they didn't talk you through the price points. They didn't talk you through why they thought it was 230. They just dropped their trousers and said, yeah, will dare to take the listing. And I think having those honest conversations with people and having the personal element just shows that you care, just shows that you're willing to go the extra mile for your clients, but also you don't have to lie to people to win business. You just shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Lack of knowledge of their existing stock.
Yeah. 100%.
Always worries me.
Oh, yeah.
Lack of knowledge of their, the fact that you can have, 45 listings and brag about how exceptional you are, but when I ring you up and ask you what the plot size is, you don't know, it kind of strikes alarm bells to my heart. I think that probably is the moment where I go, I'm not so sure you know absolutely everything about these properties. And if you don't, you're really letting people down, because they're the material things that buyers need to know to build confidence.
So, we're drawing to the end of this episode, and I want you to imagine there's somebody watching this or listening to this that's just launched their personal estate agency business. What one thing should they do today to go out and help them build? Get
into your local community. Just do everything you can. Sit in the local pub 6 days a week. Don't drink the whole time you're there, obviously.
It's great advice.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Talk in your local schools. Speak to local business owners. Get your name in your area. Don't sleep. You may not make money for 1 or 2, 3 months, but just make sure everybody knows your name, what you do, why you do it, and who the hell you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You will not meet a potential client sat in your lounge. I promise you can sit there and manifest as much as you'd like, but the odds of them knocking on your door and saying, could you come be my estate agent, is highly, highly, highly unlikely. So I agree with Matt. Make yourself relevant to people. Make yourself relevant to the people who need your service now, and make yourself relevant to the people who will need you in the future.
Matt, Nick, thank you very much. Some absolute words of wisdom there. And I think what I'm hearing is that when you're hyper-local, when your marketing is professional, and when you really own accountability, business finds you. You don't have to start finding it all of the time. This has been Freedom with Foundations. This is the home of personal estate agency, and we'll see you on the next episode.